Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is October the 11th, 2021. This is Smart Networker. I'm Dave Rolfe, and we're going to continue on with our continuing education on business success. And as we learned from last week, today's topic is on persistence. And this is one of those skills that is really important, and so I have a PowerPoint which I will present to you, and you can follow along. And then after that, we'll have our typical Q&A. So let me share the screen with you. There we go. All right, and so what I'm also going to do is shrink that up there. Okay, good. All right, so persistence. This is an interesting topic, and if we look at the definition, as we usually do before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, it's to go on resolutely or stubbornly in spite of opposition or warning. To be insistent in repetition or pressing of an utterance, such as a question, or continue to exist past the usual, expected, or normal time. So I think if we look at persistence, it's that ongoing, continued drive in a given direction towards what you're trying to do. So what is your objective? What do you have to do? What's involved? What is your way? Will you persist, and will you get the job done? Becomes the order of the day. So if you take a look at your objective, your goal, I mean, it must be clear. This must be really important to you, and this must be something that you want. And this is something that you're willing to go after. You really want to get this, and then the key question is the activity that you're doing going to allow you to get what you want? And very important to view that. And if you're not getting what you want, then you got to ask for help. That's also critical. So what do we have to do here? Well, success with Nikan comes about by learning what works, then applying what works, then getting many people to purchase products, or finding team members who want to do what you're doing and join you in the business, and then developing serious business builders who really want this and go after it aggressively. Practice and persistence. What are the two main activities? Well, reaching out and talking to others about what you have to offer, and looking for customers, looking for business builders. Your way. Now, you are a unique, talented, and creative individual, and your success in Nikan will happen when you understand the methods of how to get results and then apply them in your way. In this process, you will develop the necessary skills that must be learned, but you do it in your way based on who you are and your circumstances. So how do we develop your way? So as an example, in the beginning it was suggested that I put together a list of 200 people to get started. This came from the people that were up above. And I didn't have that many. I only had about 15 or so that I could put on an actual list. So I went ahead and started with the first 7 people. Now, you know my story, so you know the results of what happened. But the key here is to understand that the main activities of the business are based in communication, and then you talk to as many as you can. And you simply continue this until you get what you want. There is no magic number. And that is exactly what I did, persistence. After I had exhausted my list, I went to other methods, advertising, and talked to anybody I could. Again, persistence. So first you need to make that decision that this is what you're going to be, a Nikan distributor. This is really important so that you can then do what's required, again, so that you can get what you want. And what I don't know what that is for you, but you're going to find out. Next, you need to understand what it is we do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. This is very important because it's the do that's going to get you what you want. And of course, then you got to go out doing the activities. Next, you monitor the relationship of what you do to the results you get. Now, again, a very important aspect of how you proceed with this business. You got to know what you're doing is working. And if it's not working, then you got to tweak it. You got to change it. So you tweak the activities based on the results until you get what you want. And again, persistence. Example, when I first started out, I was focused on marketing the product, followed by the opportunity. And so from the standpoint of, I found out at that time, now this was a different time than it is today, but I still found out at that time that not everyone was interested in the product, and there was a lot of education required to get them interested. And of course, due to the nature of the product, which was brand new, and the technologies which were brand new, you had to find those that were, really interested. Well, interestingly enough, when I ran into some challenges here, I then changed my direction, okay? And this is the tweaking part, and started talking about the business model first, using the products, technologies, and people's health conditions as the reason why this deal was so hot. And here's what I found. Interestingly enough, the added reason of earning income caused a greater sense of interest and desire to then understand as many of the benefits as possible. So it's kind of like, instead of convincing people of how good a product is, you're getting people that want to know how good the product is. It's two different directions of activity. So, let's face it, we all need a good night's sleep and we all need good water, but man has been surviving for a long time without what we offer. However, without income, things in life get very tough and cause a great deal of stress and unhappiness. So once I moved in this direction, everything changed. Now, the next part of this, or the next chapter, as they say, was learning the lesson of persistence in relationship to time and repetition. Now, I knew from prior experiences that this was a numbers game. And what I mean by a numbers game is just, in other words, the more you did in the direction of successful actions, the greater opportunity for success. Like in the life insurance business that I was in, or telemarketing ventures I did, it was how many farm doors did I knock on to sell life insurance, or how many dials of the phone did I make to find interested parties for the investments. And in this business, it boils down to one thing: the number of times you get the opportunity to ask someone to join you in what you do would be the key statistic that you want to focus on. So in hindsight, I can't really tell you how many people I actually asked that question, but it ended up being enough. And when you think about it, that question was asked of you, right? And look what happened. And are you different from anybody else that has a problem, a situation, a challenge, or something that wants to be worked on? No, of course not. So this then brings up the main activity that you want to persist in doing, and that is finding somebody to talk to about your business. Now, remember what the main activities of the business are. It's talking to people about the product in a way that causes them to buy, or talking to people about the business in a way that causes them to join you, right? So here's what I don't know. Who will be your next customer, or who will be your next distributor? But here's what I do know. If you go about and do lots of the activities that are already known and proven to either get customers or get distributors, you will get customers and you will get distributors. Now, the number of and the volume of will depend on the amount you do and the time frame you do it in. Now, here then is another aspect of persistence, which depends on time that you're dedicating to do this. And the less time you have available, the more persistent you need to be. And let me explain this. So you're involved in a process where you contact somebody first, You find out what they need and or want. You present them what you have, and then ask them to join you or purchase the product. Now, sometimes these different activities don't happen at the same time or on the same day. So you work on contacting somebody, and this might take a few days or even weeks. You then work on the next step, which might take 20 seconds, or many calls to ask them the question or find out if they'd be interested or find out what they need or want. And then you set up a time to present or demonstrate or meet or discuss, and this could take any time after the first contact. So at this point, who knows what will happen next? So you must persist, right? And if you're juggling other potential people, then this can take time. And if you're involved with another job or important activity that must be done, then your time to complete these tasks becomes very important. What I observed was that when you had more time and went after this like you would a regular job or a career, things happened much more quickly. And there was very little time in between cycles to mess things up. So remember that what we do is no different than what any other business does to move its products or services. And in most cases, if it's a commission sales position, you earn when you produce. The difference here is you earn while you are producing, but you're also building a future potential residual income when you build it the right way. So if I look at everything that I ever have done from start to finish, the idea of time was always a factor. I now look back, and I've been with Nikan 32 years, and this became my career and took care of how I was able to live life. Now, in the beginning, I had no clue what would happen. However, I did have some ideas of the possibilities based on what I observed and life and the experiences while growing up. And what I wanted became the most important thing to understand, because this then could be understood by what I did to get it. Now, at first, I needed $8,000 per month when I started, but I only had an idea of what that needed to be in place to get that, to receive that from the company. What I really needed to learn was, what did I need to do to create that 8,000, and how long was this going to take me? Fortunately, I had experience doing something where I had to persist in order to get what I wanted, and realized that Nikan was no different. And when I did the investment program through telemarketing, I had to first find a potential client, find out if this was something that they wanted or needed, send them information, follow up, make a presentation, and then ask them for the order. Now, I had to do this many times over and over. I had to persist at learning how to do what was required. Then I had to persist doing these activities until I got a result. And then I had to persist even further to do more in order to get what I really wanted to get. In the end, I figured out what I needed to do to get the job done. So it takes what it takes, and don't worry about the results. Focus on the activities that create the results, and again, when you arrive, you arrive. What I learned and realized was that you can't worry about the goal. That does little, if any, good. What you can do, though, is, and this is fascinating about the Nikan program, is understand what must be in place to reach your goal, and then understand what you need to do to get that job done, and it all boils down to numbers. The amount of time you spend on doing the right activities will determine when you reach the goal. Now, let me give you an example. I was diamond in July of 1996. And this is a rank in our compensation plan. My next goal was the next rank up, which was called Royal Diamond. Now, at that time, I made a plan based on what was required to reach the goal. Now, at that time, I needed an additional 21 new silvers, and they had to be in the right places, and then my income would double from the benefit of doing that. So there was great motivation. Now, each and every month, starting in August of 1996, I had a plan and an objective of reaching Royal and producing the desired 21 silvers. Now, at the end of the month, I would then see what had been accomplished and then adjust the plan for the next month to accomplish the same goal, Royal Diamond. I couldn't worry about the results, a good, bad, or indifferent. That made no sense. That didn't get the goal done. What I understood was that I would reach the goal when I created the 21 silvers as part of the plan. This is the key here. When I completed the 21 silvers, I would reach the plan. So whatever your goal is, you will reach the goal when you complete what the goal is made up of. So for 2 years, and each month during that time, I had the goal and plan to reach Royal. And finally, on the 24th month after reaching Diamond, the 21 silvers were produced, and I reached the goal and became a Royal Diamond. Persistence. Do whatever it takes. Don't worry about the results. Understand what the goal is made up of, and then go to work. Don't give up. Persist and persist. Tweak what you're doing when you need to, and then you can arrive. The key to achieving this was understanding what I wanted and then making sure I could get it by doing the activities I was doing. Critical point here. Are the activities that you're doing going to give you what you want? Now, I wanted a good life. I wanted a family. I wanted friends. I wanted the ability to do what I wanted when I wanted. Now, what did that mean in economic terms? Numbers. How much would I need in order to get this stuff and do these things? I created many budgets and realized that the answer for what I wanted was a lot. Not to worry, but simply understand what was needed to be done that would provide that or pay me that. Then Nikan came along and the plan laid out what could be possible, what I could earn, and then their track record provided the proof. I saw other examples, and therefore what I needed to do was figure out what I needed to learn and do, and then how much and over what period of time do I need to do it in. And then, of course, there was this thing called persistence. If it's going to be, it's up to me. You know, I heard that statement a long time ago, and it's so true. In my first rodeo in 1975, very poor showing. I didn't really learn the business. I got off on the wrong foot, and I didn't really have a good mentor to help me, and kind of got lost and tried and tried and tried. And by my 11th or 12th rodeo in 1988, I thought I knew some of the basics, but to that point, nothing really had worked. Finally, when I ran into Nikan in 1990, I also ran into the right teacher. And he told me exactly how the business worked and where I needed to work and focus my attention and how I needed to work to get the benefits that the business model had to offer. I've now realized and understand that the reason people don't get the job done is they either don't understand what to do, or something is holding them back from doing what needs to be done in a sufficient quantity that will create a result. Now, the answers lie within each of us and what we do and how we persist. And I've been on both sides, and persisting until you win is the best side. So persist until you win. So next week we're going to continue on in the next series, and the next lesson is going to be on follow-up, a fascinating subject in our business. And so I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and remember, if you need my help, here's how you reach me, my phone number, my email, and here's some other helpful videos that you can find on daverolf.com in this series. And this is your continuing education on how to build a successful distribution business with Nikan. So I'm going to stop the share. We'll go to a live view and then question and answer. All right. So there you go today, and I will now we'll stop the recording and we'll go into the question and answer. Thanks for being here.